Good evening to you, Ambassador.
Hi, good evening to all of you.
Let's discuss first the March visit of the President to New York. What,
Mhm.
aside from, of course, addressing the Commission on the Status of Women, what are the other bilateral objectives are planned?
Well, basically, the president is traveling to New York. This has been long planned. We just postponed it a couple of times because of scheduling. But this is an opportune time for the president to be able to help in the campaign for us for a seat in the Security Council. There's the elections this year for next year's seat. This is a seat that is available to countries like the Philippines, and we are running for that position for a period of 1 year.
How about tariffs? Will there be an effort to further reduce the tariffs?
Well, no, the tariffs this is an ongoing, I wouldn't even want to call it negotiations. We have been in discussion with the USTR, the United States Trade Representative, together with our Undersecretary Alan Gepti. And we've had a number of exemptions already that we've been able to achieve. And we're, I think, in the process of just finalizing some other areas where we can also have not only exemptions, but perhaps to have a reduced tariff. But all of this is work in progress.
There is also this invitation to the president to be part of that board of peace.
Yes.
Do you recommend? What is your recommendation to the president?
Well, basically, this Board of Peace, which was actually planned by President Trump, before I left Washington, I was given the letter, a personal letter written, President Trump's letter to President Marcos, which they asked me to deliver to him. And it's an invitation, a formal invitation for President Marcos to be a member of the Board of Peace. I think there were quite a number of countries from Asia that were invited. I think Thailand, Indonesia, that have already joined in, and I can't remember the other two. I think Malaysia is one of them. So, but anyway, bottom line is that we're recommending that we will consider it if it's really just a question of just us being able to find a way to be able to contribute to some kind of a peace effort in the Gaza Strip, which is essentially what this Board of the Peace of President Trump is all about.
But will it run counter to what the UN is already doing?
Well, not necessarily, because this is I think more of the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip, and it is from what we're told sanctioned by the United Nations. So there's really no harm. Of course, we've made it clear that I don't think we'll be able to put up the $1 billion to be a permanent member of the Board of Peace, but we are prepared to contribute in some form or another to be able to help in really achieving some form of peace in the Gaza Strip.
Speaking of peace, Ambassador Romualdez, we are the ASEAN chair for the year. And of course, talks are happening in a few months, in May and again in November. What do you think are the chances that President Trump will be able to attend? And is the U.S. willing to support, the Philippines as the chairman's initiatives? Of course, the Code of Conduct, peace in Myanmar, and peace maybe in the Thai border as well.
Well, yes. As you mentioned in your report, President Marcos invited him informally when he met with President Trump last July last year at the Oval Office, and President Trump said, "I will be there." But of course, it's just an informal invitation. But we will formally be inviting him. I think the ASEAN Business Council is also very eager to have President Trump attend the summit here in Manila in November. It's a question of timing. It's because, as you had also made in your report, there are the midterm elections in the United States. So that will be, of course, the timing is very important on when and what the meeting will be like in terms of the summit. and having the heads of state from the ASEAN region and having President Trump here at the same time.
Ambassador, when President Marcos visits New York this March, will he get a chance to meet with President Trump in Washington? Will they have a chance to have another sit down? Last year, I remember they had an interesting discussion. President Trump even called him a tough negotiator when they were discussing the tariffs.
Well, actually, President Trump invited President Marcos to go to Washington this February, February 19th. That will be almost impossible for President Marcos to make it due to the conflict of schedule. But we don't know whether there will be an opportunity in New York, but more likely there will be none because this is a very short trip for the president.
Okay, I also wanted to get an update, Ambassador, on the critical minerals deal. The Philippines did sign a memorandum of understanding, but there is still no decision yet on whether we will officially join the trading bloc. What's holding us back in that decision-making process?
Well, I think it has to do a lot with the kind of commitments that we have to make. What's important for us is that we are part of that memorandum agreement that we have with the United States, with 9 other countries. And we would like to develop our critical minerals industry. And a component of that agreement is that there will be investments that will be coming in, especially in the processing of these minerals. So we'll wait and see on how this thing goes. But I think it was very it's a good opportunity for us to be able to be included as part of the supply chain for the United States on the critical minerals.
Well, I know it's early days yet, but what are the chances of actually seeing, actual figures, actual numbers, or some hard data on investors, investments? What do you think, Ambassador? Is this going to come to fruition?
Well, definitely, our critical minerals have been, like for instance, nickel. 90% of our nickel is exported to China because they have more or less cornered the market, and they in fact sometimes even dictate the price because they've been able to buy almost everything that the production that we have. So we will be able to now have some investments in production. There is a lot of interest coming from not only American companies but other companies in Europe or in Canada, Canadian companies that are looking into it, or even Australian mining companies. So this will give us an opportunity to upgrade our mining industry and be able to have a better market share.
Yes, supply
that involves
chain.
such high capitalization.
Yes, absolutely.
Ambassador, I'd like to go back to our campaign to have a seat in the Security Council. What are our chances?
We have very good chances. We are actually pitted against Kazakhstan, and I think we have a very good chance of being able to get the seat at the Security Council. We've had the commitments from countries, but of course, in any kind of election like this, it's really a question of consistently moving around. Our foreign minister was in New York not too long ago, and of course we have our former Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Enrique Manalo, who's now our permanent representative at the UN. He's been going around, and he knows most of the representatives of countries at the United Nations. That's the reason why we were very eager to have him there as soon as possible. Precisely, we have because of this opportunity for us to be part of the UN Security Council.
Going back to the
Go ahead.
to the economy, I just wanted to check in on the Luzon Economic Corridor. Last year, this was what we were all raving about. I just wanted to know if you have any updates on any activities and investments in that area.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we had a lot of discussion about that today at the U.S.-Philippine Society meetings. There is already a lot of investments that are coming in, most especially coming from Japan. So I think that project is fast moving, and hopefully within the next 3 to 5 years, we will see really significant progress in that program that the United States is actually took the lead on.
Okay, and just today, Ambassador, you told reporters that you are seeing signs of cooperation from China despite the ongoing disputes that we have on the West Philippine Sea. Talk us through that, Ambassador. Why do you think that there are signs of cooperation?
Well, not signs of cooperation, but we're feeling that I think there's an opportunity for us precisely because we are now the chair of the ASEAN Summit here in Manila. So there's an opportunity for us to be able to have some discussions with China, and that we have a continuing bilateral meetings with them on issues pertaining to the West Philippine Sea. But we'd like to be able to have the whole total relationship with China, especially in the economic trade. So we're looking into the possibility of having perhaps our foreign minister meet the foreign minister of China to begin with, since there will be a chance to do so anyway during the summit here in Manila.
And I wanted to ask, this is on a more personal note, Ambassador. Do you know the new Chinese ambassador to the Philippines? So he did come from Washington as well.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I actually,
What
yes,
can you tell us about him?
well, actually, he's very adept he's a career officer of the Ministry of China, and to be honest about it, I think that because he has a different outlook on how these things, how we will proceed with our relationship with China. Again, that's an opportunity as far as I can see. I met him because he was the deputy chief of mission in Washington, D.C. For quite a number of years, actually.
How would you describe his outlook, Ambassador?
Well, he seems to me pragmatic. Our deputy chief of mission, my deputy chief of mission in Washington, actually had a lot of opportunities to have an described to me as this the new ambassador here now is probably more adept to what I think is the whole relationship that we have with China, not just simply on issues like the West Philippine Sea.
There's just a big brouhaha now between Philippine officials and the Chinese embassy. So, what's your diplomatic advice?
Well, in the diplomatic world, we always say that it's better to sit down and have a serious discussion rather than have pronouncements made through social media or in the media, because that will only heighten the conflict even more. That's what I'm getting from our Department of Foreign Affairs, of course. But understandably, of course, whenever you have this kind of interaction between two opposing countries, emotions can come into the picture. And I think we're just hoping that these emotions will start to simmer down a little bit so that we can be a little more pragmatic in our approach. As I said, and everybody knows this, that China will always be there. China will be our neighbor, and it's an economic power now. And if you've got countries like the United States, countries in Europe, and now Canada is reaching out to China, I don't see any reason why we should not have the same kind of mindset, that we should try to sit down, even if our differences will probably never jibe, because their claims will never be acceptable to us. But there are other areas where we can work with them, especially in the area of alternative energy and climate change, because the United States has pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord. And so we have only one country now that is leading the world in climate change, and that's China.
Okay, and of course, the Balikatan exercises are coming up. We've just gotten information on the media registry, Ambassador. And the U.S. is also going to be providing Cessna 208Bs and King Air 360 aircraft for the Philippines to be used for surveillance. Do you know anything about that deal?
Yes, what we're actually, I think I know, I'm not sure whether I mentioned it today, but The U.S. Senate just approved a 2.5 billion appropriation for the Philippines. This will, of course, go to the U.S. Congress, where the Congress will approve the amounts that will be, or appropriate the amount. The approval was coming from the U.S. Congress on the total of the U.S. Senate for the whole amount, which is $500 million a year. Part of that is going to go to many of these hardware that we're getting from the United States. This is for the modernization of our armed forces.
All right, we thank you so much for your time, Ambassador. How long are you here for in Manila?
Well, we have a strategic dialogue with the United States. We're hosting it here next week. We have another event that will be also working with the United States. So I'll probably be here for another 10 to 15 days.
Great. That means we have our opportunity to have you once again on the program.
Wow. I'm
We-
always at your service, Tess. Thank you very much.
We thank you so much,
Thank you too.
Ambassador Romualdez, for your time.
Have a good evening.